Worth, and this is CoatingsTalk from Coatings Coffee Shop. We're so excited to have you here live from the deck. And usually it's live from the roof, but no, this is live from the deck. We are here to see what is happening with some of the premier waterproofing and to save these beautiful decks here in California. And of course, we had to be with the experts in waterproofing, and that is our friends from Pli-Dek. Jan and Samantha, we're live.
Hey everybody.
Happy to be here, Heidi.
We also want to thank our friends at ICP, who is the mothership for Pli-Dek and APOC and all of great companies for being the sponsor of this Live from the Deck. So let's get started, my friends, with some introductions. So Jan, you want to start? Introduce yourself?
I have been with Pli-Dek for 46 and a half years now.
Wow.
I was the inventor of this product back in 1979. I'm aging myself here a little bit. So I knew that something in the industry wasn't right. The decking systems out here that were existing were failing everywhere. Nobody had a good decking system. So we developed something that is pretty much what everybody uses now in California. Every new deck has got a lathing-based system that we have, which looked into fire ratings, early protection, durability, and waterproofing. So we made something that everybody's been using now for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And if I haven't noted, we are live on a construction site, so you're going to hear some hammering, some sawing, a lot of different things, but that's what's so exciting about us being live on a construction site. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Samantha, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello everyone. I'm Samantha Cloudis. I am your local Pli-Dek rep here in Southern California. I cover the Inland Empire, and I've been in the roofing industry for 9 years.
Excellent, excellent. I know, little loud noises now and then, but
Right.
You know what? I am so excited to really get in and talk about Pli-Dek, but before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about where we're at. We're in Newport Beach, California, and it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but there is a lot of moisture in the air. Every morning, a little bit of cloud cover, there's a lot of rain at different times. So I want to talk a little bit about really the importance of premier waterproofing on these decks and on these building envelopes overall along this coastal range. So Jan, how important is waterproofing, really good waterproofing here?
Well, whenever you, at the very end of a project, the worst thing you want to have happen is the project to leak and create mold and mildew, and everybody's upset. So it's very important to have a very durable decking system. We do, on new construction, this is a rehab as you guys can see, but on new construction, you're going to get early protection with our base coat. So our base coat is all UV stable. It's 6,000 PSI. You'll be able to put scaffolding on top of it, which you'll probably see throughout the day here. So it's a very, very durable, waterproof decking system in the base coat, which nobody had back in the day. So now everybody has it, so everybody's using that as an advantage to get this project dried in time and not worry about hurting the base coat. So we make it very, very durable, and we make it waterproof.
Yeah, and that is what mold, fire, this is what protects the building out here.
Well, back in the day, urethane systems over plywood were very popular. They sort of went away. In California, we have a lot of fires out here. Ends up that the urethane systems weren't really fire rated, so it wasn't really that popular anymore, now that all the architects and everybody else was really concerned about the fire rating. So this polymer-based product that we have, a polymer cement-based product, does pass a Class A, does pass a 1 hour, does pass a high fire zone rating from the State Fire Marshal. So it protects it from fire. So when you have all these fires out here in California, the decks are holding up fine.
That's it, and that's what's so important as we're going through things. And Samantha, we're going to talk more about training towards the end of this coatings talk, but you really you work with a lot of contractors, waterproofing contractors in
Correct.
this area. How important is, the job that they're doing to protect these buildings?
I mean, in high traffic areas, this is what you want to put down on your deck. Like Jan said, the last thing we want is leaks, because that's going to lead to more serious problems. And I think our waterproof decking will help clear all those notions of being afraid of having that happen. Pli-Dek's the best out there right now.
I have to tell you, because Samantha, what you're saying is so true. I think as a normal everyday person, someone walking up into these beautiful living spaces, they don't think about this, right? They don't think about this leaking.
No,
but
not
you
at
do,
all.
and that's
We
the
do.
key.
Well, it's basically categorized as a waterproof roof coating that you can actually walk on. So you can put your tables and your chairs I mean, it's like I said, a 6,000 pound size is hard as almost a concrete sidewalk. So you can put your tables and chairs on. It's not going to damage this product. Excellent sealer that's on top of this that makes it easy to clean for people. If in case they got barbecue spills over some grease on the ground, you can mop it up with some kind of detergent. So it's very cleanable and it's UV stable. It's not going to start decomposing after 2 or 3 years where you see wear pass. It's just really a strong product with a lot of polymers in it.
That's what we need. So Samantha is going to join us again later on. She's actually going to help Megan Ellsworth behind the camera as we start showing you what this project looked like and the system overall. We're going to have a few more questions. So Samantha, we'll be bringing you back.
I'll be back.
Okay. Okay, so Jan, let's talk a little bit about the Pli-Dek system. Give us the history. You did a little bit in your introduction, but what were you doing at the time? What inspired you?
I was a roofer,
okay.
and the guy that I was a young kid, and my roommate was a general contractor, and he was complaining every day that there was no such thing as a good decking system. They're all failing. They're all have to be redone in a year. So all the builders had felt the same way. So I found out that they needed a new system in this industry. So being a roofer, being knowledgeable about flashing and waterproofing, back in the day we didn't have computers, we didn't have anything else. But I did a lot of research, and we found out that we needed to put something out there that addressed the issues that everybody was having. I mean, the urethane systems, obviously the fire ratings were bad, but they were splitting at the plywood seams. They weren't really, even though they had elongation, they were glued to the ground, so when the plywood moved, it would split all the seams. So we came back with something that we addressed all the concerns, and the main concern was the fire rating.
Yeah.
Number one was all these plywood seams that would crack. So we put this experimental lathing down to give it strength. And we put fiberglass on top of that to give it flexibility so we don't have those cracks, which has been very, very successful doing that. Pli-Dek's been litigation free in 46 years, so let's cross my fingers, that's good. For waterproof decking, waterproof manufacturers is not going to court for failure. So we got a really, really good system that works. My job is to train these guys to make sure everybody does it according to specification. And everything's already done. They just have to learn the specification. So we do a lot of our time between Samantha and myself and a couple other reps to make sure everybody's doing it right. So I help write the specs. I do job walks. I make sure these jobs are being installed according to my spec. So we know if it's installed right, it's going to work. So that's my main thing now, is to make sure everybody understands how to put the product down. But this did solve the problems in this industry, and now, like Samantha said, we're flourishing across the United States. California was our home. But we're doing real well elsewhere as well.
That is great. So you started it, and 47 years ago, right?
Right.
So then the company grew and grew and grew, and you became, then what year did you become part of the ICP family?
We sold to ICP in 2019.
Okay.
So about 6 years ago. So they thought I was going to retire, but I love the people that I work out here so much. It's hard for me to leave my baby. So I'm going to stay here as the consultant for these guys for as long as I can, because this is what I created. I have a lot of friends in this industry with consultants and architects and general contractors and applicators.
Yeah.
It's like a second family to me, so it's hard for me to leave. So I'm going to hang out here as long as I can.
I think they like you. You wouldn't be here today if I think that all worked out.
Well, I feel like I'm making a positive move in somebody's life, where I'm making sure they're making making money, doing a good application, and no problems. So my job is to make sure nobody has problems. So
I love it.
I spend a lot of time doing that.
So when we're kind of talking about that Pli-Dek system, and you were talking about, and we're going to show this here in just a second, what kind of areas where does Pli-Dek really excel? Where should people be using this system?
Well, number one, everybody always thinks balconies, and balconies is our number one, but we're standing on a walkway, which is an entry walkway. We call it a landing or an entry walkway to people's units. So there's walkways, second-story walkways around buildings, and third-story walkways. There's balconies, obviously, and there's also roof decks. So you have a project that you can open your door on the roof deck, and you sit out there with a chair on top of the roof. Back in California, it's beautiful. You see the ocean, you see the beach, and people want to have these roof decks. So we do roof decks, walkways, and balconies for the main thing we do.
And anywhere really where you want that skid resistance.
Well,
right, where you're going to have traffic and walkable decks.
That's another point we haven't brought up yet, but yes, we want one of the characteristics that we had to have when we made a decking system was to make it non-skid.
Yeah.
We call it the static coefficient of friction, ASTM test, but you want to make sure people aren't walking on this deck and slipping as well. So good point. So we have testing done for that as well, wet and cold, for different textures. So we can make the texture look like anything you want. The most standardized texture in the industry is we call it knockdown. Yeah. Something you would see on drywall texture. Well, they do it on the ground around pools. They do it on the decks too, because they know it's easily to maintain. It's non-skid, and it's less expensive than the fancy finishes. Because we can make the finishes look like flagstone or tile or wood or anything else, and some custom homes do that. But all these big giant projects that we're on today, and I know you can't see it right now from the camera, but this is like 850 units. This is one of the most prestigious buildings out here in California. But they use knockdown as a standard for their finish for all these major projects that are very, very expensive projects, because it's still an accepted finish for people to have for maintenance on it, and for the non-skid. That's what people use.
And you'll see that in just a minute. We're going to be showing you some of the ground as we go around here. So one last thing, I want to kind of go back and talk about the fire ratings. We talked about that a little bit at the beginning, but before we start showing the system, I want to talk about the importance of those fire ratings.
Well, if you've read the news over the last few years, the fires have been really, really bad. People are losing their lives. So it's not just a bad construction thing. It's detrimental to people's living there. So back in the day, it was always 1 hour in Class A that you had to have. Well, the state fire marshal came up with something about 6 years ago and says, we want a high fire zone rating as well. Yeah. Which is ASTM E84 test. So we wanted to make sure in a high fire zone that this thing passes as well. Very, very difficult test to pass. Pli-Dek is one of 2 people that have passed that. So when you have trees in the backyard or hillside in the backyard, that's called a high fire zone. Right. So now all of a sudden, we have to have that rating as well. But the 1 hour burns from the bottom side. The Class A, it burns from the top side. And that's, like if a tree's on fire, catches on fire, is this stuff combustible? It's not. So it passed all those tests. So we have Class A 1 hour, and we also have the high fire zone.
Oh, you do? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Okay, so we want to go through and talk about the process, right? From nothing, your full system. So we're kind of in an area where we're starting to see some of the process. So why don't you go ahead, and I think we've got a little bit going on over here, but that's okay because we're going to be making our way there. So Jan, talk about how this goes on, and then let's start showing people on the site.
Well, what's important in any roofing or decking system is sheet metal flashing transitions are very, very critical. We have door pan flashing, we have wall to deck metal that you can see here, we have drip edge metal on the outside edge. If there's a post on the ground, we're gonna flash that post, that wood post. So it starts with flashing, and then our decking system. Our decking system, we treat the plywood seam. So the plywood seams will move. Like when the building moves a little bit, it's called shearing, and they also expand and contract. So what we do differently than anybody else is when that plywood expands and contracts, we have a gap there. So we gap our plywood. The framers don't gap the plywood for us. So we end up cutting a seam there. We put paper down, which we'll see on the other area that we go to, and then we put the lathing on top. So the mud that we put down doesn't go back in that seam that we opened up. So we set expansion joints everywhere on our system underneath our base coat. So it allows for expansion and contraction. So our lathing and is overlapped 3/4 of an inch. We put it wall to wall. We put a polymer cement down, which is 6,000 PSI, which is waterproof, durable as heck. You can get away with that and have that sit there for a year before you do the next coat. It's all UV stable. Then we come back after stucco, and you'll see what we're standing on is the fiberglass and resin coat. And then the next coat would be a skim coat they put down to cover that, and then a texture coat and a color seal. So this will get them through construction. You don't even need to put the fiberglass down, but this will be sitting here until such time as they get the stucco patch and everything else. Then they'll do the finish coat. So the fiberglass and resin is extremely flexible. It'll go up and down all day long. There's deflection ratings on that, but this will keep that from cracking as well. So our main job is to make sure the flashing's done right, and to make sure the deck system's not going to leak and not going to crack and not going to deteriorate. So Pli-Dek has got all those things taken care of.
This is an expansion joint right here, right?
This is unusual that you'll see a walkway that's not that big that's going to have an expansion joint, but that's what this is. So you'll have a movement joint here. This is covered by tape now, but there'll be some jobs that we have to come in with some expansion joints. Usually on big concrete decks that we have, we do big giant courtyards for underground parking underneath these units. So the courtyards are 10,000 square feet. Sometimes there'll be control joints in those courtyards. On plywood, it's not as common, but it does happen. So when the walkways have a bridge to a unit and they go on to another part of another building, they'll have control joints there. So this is what this is here.
That's perfect. Okay, do you want to show us a little bit here, or where do we want to head this way, Jan?
Well, on this job, this is a rehab job, obviously. It's not new construction, so you're seeing a lot of things going on here. So what the first thing they do is they want to reestablish the flashing, which is, like I said, is most important. So who knows what they did back in the day, but so they tear out the stucco. Now you have a 6-inch flashing coming up, which we cover with fiberglass and resin, because we warranty that as well. And then you're going to have to get new paper underneath. This has always been a pain to do, but you put paper underneath this, and you have a weep screed right here. So the paper's going to go down 2 inches off the ground as a weep screed. You'll see it on another part of our buildings here. So then they'll put the stucco down the weep screed. Then our guys will put our finish coat underneath the weep screed. So this transition is the water supposedly soaks in the stucco, goes down this paper, goes over the flashing on top of our deck. We don't want water to get behind this. So this still needs paper to get underneath here and over this part.
Perfect.
So it needs a weep screed and new paper here.
And what stage is this deck at right now?
This has got the lathing and the base coat, and it's got the fiberglass and the resin. These guys are going to put a skim coat down of the polymer cement, which is the white top coat. Then they're going to texture it, then they're going to color seal it. So they have that to go yet. But this is as waterproof as you need right now.
That's right now.
As long as you want it.
Let's walk this way. Hang in there with us as we move along this live construction site. Might be a bit bumpy.
Well, now we can just stop here a little bit because you'll see how the paper's been.
Let's get Megan up here and you can show that. Exactly. Hello, everybody. We're still here. Hang in there. We are on a construction site. Okay.
So
show us what you have.
Megan could see what I just talked to you guys about, where the guys already came back and patched this in, where they've got the paper underneath this paper. They got a new weep screed in here. The decking system will finish off right here, and the stucco is going to finish right here. Any water that soaks in this wall is going to go down this wall, over the paper, over the flashing, on top of the deck. That's the proper transition that they have to do. That's why all this stucco is torn out, because the flashing that was here wasn't done right, so these guys are putting in new flashing, new paper, and it's always a pain to do that after the fact, but that's what these guys have to do on this job.
Wow, that is amazing. And then the corners here, this is all in process also, right?
Well, I'm not in this area. This is the stucco guy's responsibility. Right. My responsibility as a decking guy is to make sure this transition works. This is our transition. All this stuff up here, the stucco guy is going to wrap with bitch-a-thane and do all their work.
They're going to do the thing. Okay.
If we see something wrong, then we bring it to the contractor. Say, hey, this is going to leak up here. It's going to get behind my flashing. So we tell people. So we look at those things. But basically, they have a consultant here that says we make sure all these other building materials are working correctly. Yeah.
You protect the deck.
Yeah, because the decking guy, if this wall was to leak, it's going to get behind the flashing. Then they're going to call up the decking guy and say, hey, your deck's leaking. So you got to make sure sometimes when you're on these big jobs that they're doing their job. These guys here are phenomenal. They're doing a great job. But some of the jobs that a guy's first time he's doing something, if they don't do this wall right, water gets behind the paper, then we're in bad shape.
They're in bad shape. Yeah. Okay, we're going to head over to the other side where we have some of our crew there and see what they've been doing over there. So come on through, gentlemen. Go ahead. Okay.
Want them to go over that? Under that.
Here we go.
So this is your control joint. You can see it better now.
Yeah,
but this is the finished product as well. We were talking about what does the finished product look like.
So going up here and tell us. Okay, so tell us about this finished product. And let's get up here where you.
This is the typical knockdown that almost everybody uses in California. This is the most popular system out here. There's a sand surface, there's a smooth surface, which comes in the non-skid now. There's a hand texture, and then we get all the pattern finishes.
Right.
Like I said, the wood and the flagstone and the brick and the tile and all that can be done on top of this. So this is what we're going to see on almost every job. Every big job you look at is going to have this finish on it, which is non-skid, and its texture looks nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah. And then here we have another expansion joint.
This is another expansion joint for the buildings to move just separately from these walkways that are connected to different buildings. So that's why they allow this movement right here. So they'll put this in. It's not very common, but you'll see these on some projects.
Perfect. Now, do you want to show over here, or should we get over there? Is there anything else over here?
You guys doing something here? Yeah, we need to see this over here.
Okay.
Can you guys let us go down here? So, so we need to get the camera over here, guys. No, you're gonna, yeah, you guys, if you guys can mix over there, let's mix over here. I know, we can come down here. So could you mix over here? So we could shoot it from this way, right?
Oh,
yeah, if you want to mix.
Hey, everybody, hang on here. We are just going to show you because this is live. It's actually happening. They're going to be putting it all down on the ground. So, stay tuned.
How are we doing?
Okay, we're doing great. Okay,
I got to get one more bag.
So why don't you, as soon as we do that. Hi, everybody. Hang in there. Megan, do we have any questions or comments?
Nope. Brooks says he's enjoying the tour.
Okay, good. I like it. We're live from the roof. So, talk to us about this transition and what's going on here. I'm going to get back out of the way.
This is ideal. These guys helped us set this up a little bit to show you the stages of the application. This is the lathing that we talked about. If you look real close, there's actually seam paper here. This little piece of paper here, that's for the expansion and contraction. So we do put the paper down on all the plywood seams. Then the lathing goes down, it overlaps. They got it overlapping here 1.5 inches, which is great. Wall-to-wall lathing. Flashing's been cleaned properly. And then the base coat goes down. This is the polymer, the coat, we call this a GU80 grade base coat. This is what goes down in construction to waterproof the deck to give them durability. The second coat that goes down is fiberglass and resin. They skim this out, they shoot texture, and they paint it. So you got base coat, fiberglass resin coat, skim coat, texture coat, color seal. You see all the stages in this.
Excellent. Okay, they are mixing up right now. And
They are.
What are they going to be applying?
They're going to put the base coat, the rest of the base coat from here to there.
Okay.
That'll set up in probably a couple hours, call it 2 or 3 hours, the base coat. They'll probably put the fiberglass tomorrow, but if they wanted to, they could put the fiberglass down today.
We have a question. How long does a project of this size usually take?
This project is like 100,000 square feet with 850 units. It's probably going to take 2 years for these guys to do, because all the other construction is being done. It's not just the decks. They're taking out doors and windows and stucco. So that's why this project is going to be longer. It's probably a 2-year project, maybe 2.5 years. But the decking system alone, if there's new construction, I'd probably tell you 4 or 5 months. But because of the reconstruction, it's going to take you a lot longer.
So we're going to, any other questions, Megan? Nope. Nope, okay. They're going to be coming here in just a minute, and they're going to,
Okay, so they're mixing what we call, well, this is the pool trowel from yesterday.
oh yeah.
They're mixing what we call the GU80 gray base. It goes 1 gallon of GU80 liquid with 1 bag of GU80 gray base. You can add a little bit of water to it. We say a pint at the most. And then that's what's going to be troweled here. So
Okay.
it goes down about 1/4 inch thick. It could be thicker. If I needed, let's say it was sloping this way and I had a wall right here and I need a cricket around so I can divert the water, we could build that base coat up as high as I want.
Really?
So we
Okay.
can do slope from that spot to this spot, 3 inches down to 0 if I want.
Wow.
All in one application.
Okay.
So that's the luxury of this product. It's slopable. Most of the time the plywood slopes, but this product can slope in case the framer didn't get the slope in there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to step back out of the way here so that they can put that on.
And this is a pool trowel. Yesterday we talked about them not having this pool trowel. This got flexibility here.
Yeah,
This spine's back here. There you go. You use this one. You like that? Then okay, no. You do what you do. Here you go. You show me how to do it.
Wait, and what's his name? Wait, what's his name?
Hello. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so
Narrate.
Yeah, narrate. As
All right,
we're going
so they
down
mixed
through
up the
here.
product. They got the base coat down. You got to just dump the product out as much as you can without stepping on it. And then he's going to bring it back, and he's going to use the trowel to put it to the top of the lathing. We don't pull it as tight as we can, and we don't float it like concrete.
Okay, we're gonna have this gentleman
Can you see? Hey,
move over there. Just this
Come
way
back
a little bit. Yeah.
Come back here.
Perfect. Perfect. There you go. Okay.
So we can
And
see
you
him.
can see it's floating.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
Can you see the application?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
All right.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about the strength of the space coat. How important that is.
It's super important. I mean, that's the base coat's where I'm getting my fire rating, is where I'm getting my durability. I got 6,000 psi, plus all these other systems that have the latexes and the epoxies and the urethanes are now fire rated.
Right.
So now we have a polymer cement that withstands all those fire ratings, those intense fire ratings that we have to get through. So this is the most important part. The flashing and lathing in the base coat is the most important part of this decking system.
Okay.
It's not going to leak. It transitions properly. So everything else, I don't want to say it's all cosmetic, but it's had a lot to do with just adding more flexibility, adding more non-skid. But what you're looking at right now is the guts of our system. Is the base coat has to be done right. So he's troweling it out. If he wanted to stop now and go to lunch,
Yeah.
and come back and pick up the rest of this, it all ties in perfect. It's not like like concrete, you have to pour it all at the same time.
Right.
This can start and stop anytime you want.
Yeah.
So if he just, whatever, the lunch truck here and the bell's going off and everyone's running down to get lunch, this guy can stop right now and go pick this up later.
So when you invented this, when you kind of started putting this system together, how did you find the space coat? How did that come together?
Well, like I told you, it was before computers were out there when
Yeah.
I was doing this stuff, and there wasn't even a fax machine back then, no cell phones. So you do a lot of research under yellow pages and talking to chemists. And I got a hold of one of the biggest chemists in all the acrylic industry, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he suggested looking at polymer cements. So I just started putting stuff together by talking to a lot of chemists and stuff, and started putting stuff together, and it didn't work. I'd ask the chemist, well, I needed to do this, I needed to do that, and they said, well, you can make it not set up as fast, I can make it set up quicker, I can make it not crack when it sets up. So we did all those things as we talked to my chemist to make this thing work.
Yeah.
The first job you do, like anything else, you're out there learning a little bit, but being that I was a roofer, I understood flashing transitions already.
Right.
So that was the important part that I got done. The base coat was something I learned better as you get, you do a lot more experience. But these guys now, sometimes these guys, I've been troweling for almost 47 years, sometimes these guys trowel better than me, so it pisses me off a little bit, but these guys all know what they're doing.
So, okay, and when you were talking about this yesterday with the troweling, there's certain things that you're listening for with the scrim, right? And then we just saw Paulo hammering something. What was that?
Well, you don't float it like concrete, so you want to have your trowel touch the lathing, because that's your screed coat. That's where you want, how thick you want it. If it goes thicker than that, it doesn't matter. It's costing the contractor money, but
Yeah.
we want it to be just above the lathing. The lathing as the screed. There's a guy back in the day, I won't tell you his name because I told everybody I would. His name was Lapelli Lisicki. I played football with him in college. He invented the hammer method. So he would trowel it out about 2 or 3 feet. Then he'd get the hammer with the blade on one side, like a hatchet, and he'd hit it on the ground, and the cement would self-level.
Yeah.
So you don't have any trowel lines. So he got rid of all my trowel lines. So we never had to grind the deck anymore to make it smooth before we did the texture coat.
Okay, so he's not hammering nails, he's hammering it to self-level.
He's hammering the plywood so it jiggles the plywood and it makes the cement look like glass.
Yeah.
So I did 3 years. I didn't do it that way for 3 years. Back in 1982, 1983, I watched one of my superintendents as I was installing do the hammer method. And I go, oh my God, that's a great idea. So I was grinding every single deck, so I stopped grinding because of a guy named Lapelli Lisicki. And I love him. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Thank you, Lapelli.
Yeah, thank you, Lapelli.
That's great. So, Megan, can you still see? We're just finishing up here now. How long is this going to take to cure?
Well, this is a catalytic reaction when you start mixing the liquid and the powder together, but it also depends on heat. So
Yeah.
if this was 90-degree day, you'd be walking on this in 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
If it's a day like right now, we're down by the beach in Southern California, so it's probably 75 degrees. It's in the shade, so it's probably going to take about an hour before you can walk on, hour and a half to walk on it.
Okay.
Fully cure, probably the next day. So by the next day. So
And then when would the next coat go on?
you can do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Base coat today, fiberglass and resin tomorrow.
And that's where we get that yellow finish that we saw over there.
Yeah. So the fiberglass and resin, the resin is a single component. That means you don't mix anything with it. It's just a bucket of acrylic, and that gets poured on the fiberglass. And the way that cures is water evaporation. There's no catalytic reaction taking place. It's like when you paint something. How does that cure? Well, the water evaporates.
Right, okay.
So the colored sealer that we're standing on and the fiberglass and resin are both water-based acrylics. So you have to have that dissipate for it to set up. So if it's a 40-degree day and you painted the colored sealer on and it's not setting up, it's because it's not evaporating. It's not so much a problem here in California, but it's a problem in Colorado, it's a problem in Utah, where it's really humid out there in Florida, so it's maybe more of a problem. But here in California, we have the luxury of not having to worry about this thing set up. It usually sets up pretty fast.
So let's talk a little bit about when you get to this top coat. This is also the spackled and brown, but this can be any color, right?
Yeah, so we have standard 12 colors in our color chart, but I have guys out there that are trying to match the trim on the fascia board. They're trying to match the tile or trying to match the stucco. We can make any color you want. So what we did is we formulated all our colors to match every major color family. So if you could pick from a Sherwin-Williams or a Dunn Edwards or Benjamin Moore or Behr paints, we've matched all those already. So if somebody comes up and says, Jan, we need a special color that's not in your color chart, we want it to be, it has to match Sherwin-Williams color chart. Well, there's like 800 colors in their color fam.
Right.
I said, well, just tell me which one it is. I already have the formula for that.
Yeah.
So we don't charge them any extra, send them a color vial, because the colored sealer comes in a white bucket with a color vial. So the color vial, you add it and you mix it together, you got your color. Same thing you would do maybe at Home Depot or something.
Yeah.
So what we do is we just tell the guys, don't tell me that you want me to match a color like the Target sign that's red.
Yeah.
I don't know what color that is. Pick from a color fan. We have all the formulas made already, and we'll give you that color jar that you can mix in.
I love it. I love it. So really any color you want.
Any color of the rainbow.
Any color of the rainbow.
It's unlimited.
Unlimited. That is cool. Okay, that was pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, in new construction, this goes really fast. There's not all these other things that you gotta tear out stucco.
Everything. Now, these gentlemen are with Systems Waterproofing, right?
Yes, Systems Waterproofing is one of my best applicators in Southern California. They do a lot of big projects for us. Owner is a fantastic guy named Eric Paulson. Great company. So I trained these guys years ago.
Yeah.
I don't have to watch them install because I know I got a guy like Pedro who runs the superintendent here. They know what they're doing. So you always hold people's hand until such time as they can ride the bike on their own. You know,
Right.
They don't need training wheels anymore. These guys are riding the bike on their own.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a long time.
So we want to say a very special thank you to Systems Waterproofing because we've come in here, totally messed up their schedule, everything else, but they've been so great and really have been able to show us what it is. We wanted you to see it live on the deck. So we're going to move back out a little bit. Have we shown everything here?
Yeah, I think that's about all we could do is right here, is show them what we've got.
Okay.
But-
so as Megan and Samantha help us get back out, here we go. Thank you. This is Pedro. Thank you so much. Yes, we appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy. So you got you on TV.
Just a little bit more. Okay, so, and do you gentlemen need to get by us? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Gracias. Okay. Are you good? Can we stand right here for a minute? Okay. Thank you. Okay. We have some more questions for Jan. He's not going to get off that easy.
I like questions.
We have a lot of good questions. So, okay. When you are looking at this finished, I guess we've kind of talked about that, but let's just talk about this is going to all be done. We have the nice brown that we're seeing down here with the thing. What are some of the things that building owners should be looking for as in performance from this type? I mean, is it easy to clean? How does that work?
So, great question. Back in the day, we were compared, some other companies tried to compare themselves to Pli-Dek. Says, oh, we got a really good sealer that's better or as good as Pli-Dek, which upset me. So I went to my chemist again and said, okay, wait a minute. What do I got to do to my sealer? I want the best product.
Yeah.
So we dissected our product and we dissected their product. And I said, he goes, well, they're about the same. And he goes, what do you want? I go, well, what do I do to make it stronger? He goes, well, you can add more polymer. I go, can I put like 30% more? He goes, yeah, it'll be a little bit more expensive, but it'll be a better product.
Yeah.
I go, so that's going to be stronger, easier to clean because it's a semi-gloss. So I want that to start with. So I made it that way. I go, well, I want to have something that's called hide. And hide is, you can paint it one time.
Oh.
So if you paint it one time, you have all these streaks in there, and the guys have to paint it twice. You'll see it when you paint drywall. I made this product so I thickened it up. I put more titanium dioxide in it, which made it way stronger and made it, I could do it in one coat. Now these guys out here, they put a coat down, then there's a lot of construction traffic. They're coming back to put another coat down. So obviously you can put 2 coats down, but most times if you do on new construction, you do it one time.
Yeah.
So it saves the contractor money and not just material, but also labor to do that. So this is an excellent sealer. I'm biased, but it is the best sealer in the market by far, because I know I've dissected some people and I know what I got.
You know it, yeah.
So really, really good product. Yeah. So this is important to make it easy to clean. So
okay, let's talk about that maintenance for the building owner. How long does this last? And is there maintenance required? Is there retouch? How does that work?
All right. Thank you for this question, because I'll tell you what. The problem I did is this product is so good that we tell everybody on new construction, let's look at it in 3 years, and I'll do a free inspection, or one of my girls or one of my guys will do a free inspection, and we'll look at it, and everything usually looks great. Nothing's ever done in 3 years. We say in 5 years you're supposed to repaint the deck.
Okay.
Not because it's deteriorating, just because we want to make sure, that when they're using their deck as a trash can, or their dog's using it as a bathroom, we like to reseal that. So, out of all the jobs we do, 5% reseal after 5 years.
Okay.
We give them a 10-year warranty, but you've got to reseal in 5. Well, the deck system lasts. We made it too good, so it lasts in 5 years. They're walking out and saying, there's nothing wrong with the deck. Why do I want to reseal it? I'm on the job and says, well, you don't have to. It's holding up fantastic, but they're supposed to reseal in 5 years. Now, this company that we're doing work for has me on multiple projects all throughout California, even Southern and Northern California. And they're looking at me saying, after 10 years, they're saying, Jan, if we reseal it, would you extend it another 5 years? 100% of the time, the answer's been yes.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, because if I reseal it, it's looking like this. It's not going bad. So my contractors are out here doing reseals on these projects and cleaning everything up, making it look perfect. So the decks hold up well. They look good. They're non-skid. They're durable as heck. There's not going to be wear paths in the middle of this walkway. You won't see that. It's really, really strong product. So the problem with what we did is we don't get to reseal it very often because the product, I made the product so good.
But you do, like you said, there are going to be things that get on the deck that people may not be aware of, like chemicals, acids, dogs, different things. So you do have to have those inspections and make sure that everything is holding up. And there haven't been external sources that maybe no one planned on.
True. It's rare to see something happen. I was on a deck the other day, huge project, a guy called me out there, and his barbecue spilt over, and all the coals were on the ground on fire, and there was this big black spot on the deck. Well, it didn't spread because I have a Class A spread of flame test done.
Yeah.
So I went on the job. I thought I was doing 800 decks. I went out there, there was one deck and one spot that the guy spilled his barbecue, and he told me to patch it. I'm going, okay, you got the wrong guy here, but I'll get somebody out here to help you. But the deck only was black. It held up, it didn't catch on fire, which is what everybody wants to see. But there's hardly any maintenance on it. But I love people. This company here maintains their jobs in 5 years because they don't want to do this again.
They want to make sure everything works.
This tearing into stucco and putting in new flashing and all this paper should last you guys forever. These guys obviously had a multi-million-dollar project that didn't really do that well. So these guys are fixing that, and at the same time, they're putting a new deck system down. They're putting Pli-Dek down. But
it's amazing. So we have a question.
Yes. How long does it take to become a certified applicator, and what's the process?
I do certified training across the nation. We have reps throughout different areas in the United States. Obviously, if they're in California, I'm going to train them. We have a training next week that's going to bring maybe 10, 20, 30 contractors to the table that I train. I've done online training, but I always want to be on the site when they do their first job. Because you can do a training class, and I have YouTube videos. There's all kinds of YouTube videos that have training videos. But the guys get on the job, they don't follow it. It's watching it and doing it are two different things. So I always need to be out there. Like I said, litigation's free right now. So we go on every single job to make sure the guys know what they're doing. And it starts with what I said, the flashing and the base coat is where all my liability is. If somebody comes out here and says, man, your texture coat, which I got that call this morning. I got to go to Temecula, which is a little bit east of here. And the guy goes, my texture coat, it's the first time I ever did it, Jan, didn't look good. What do I got to do? I got to go out, 100 miles that way to show this guy how to do a texture coat. But that's not the critical part. If the texture coat looks bad, it's not leaking, it's not rotting out the plywood, it's not going inside their unit, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But the texture coat was a little bit ratty, so I have to teach a guy how to do texture coat. So I teach everybody. but I have reps in Northern Cal, I have reps in Florida, we have reps all over the place. Samantha can help out. We have all kinds of different people that can go out to these jobs and help these guys get trained. But it starts with a training seminar that we have that we either do at the distributor level or we can do it on site. So I do that once or twice a week now.
Yeah, and stay tuned because we're gonna, at the very end, we're bringing Samantha back out. We're gonna go over some details so that you can write that down on exactly where you can get those trainings and what's happening and what you're doing. And so to follow up this question that we just had on trainings, talk to me about, you were a roofer, right, before you became a waterproofer, and
Yes.
now you're both. But we know you're a deck guy. And but for those folks out there who maybe are doing roof coatings now, or maybe they're doing parking garages, but they want to get into decks, how can they expand their business to really take on the Pli-Dek line? What are some of your tips and advice?
Probably more than half of my contractors are multi-talented. They're either painters that do my decks, they're concrete guys that do my decks, they're general contractors that do my decks.
Yeah.
So it's a good backup. So if business, let's say new construction slowed down.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me in my lifetime. The new construction slowed down. Well, we do rehab construction. So you're never out of work. But if you're a plumber or you're a framer or you're an electrician, you need new construction.
Right.
So having a backup plan with a decking system or a roofing system, that roofing system don't need as much maintenance as a decking system, but it opens up. My guys never ran out of work. Guys like this that own a bunch of property, instead of building new ones, they were maintaining these jobs. So my guys never ran out of work. So
Yeah.
it's an excellent thing to do, to be multi-talented. Plus, if you're a roofer and you do the decks, it's waterproofing, builders want to use the same guy.
Yes.
They go, I'm going to guy that's doing my roof, that's doing my decks. I'm not going to discern between the two. If it's leaking, it's one or the other, same guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's important for the guys that are roofers to have that in their back pocket because they might not get a job if they're not doing the decks as well.
They're doing everything. And what we've seen on this job yesterday when we were touring around, we've got clay tile, we have flat up on top where they're doing some roof coatings up there, and then we have all the decking. So there's a lot of work. And like you said, this project is like a 2-year project.
Probably 2.5 years altogether.
2.5, yeah.
But that's because there's so much other stuff going on. But when this thing is done, it's going to be bulletproof. This is going to be one of the nicest projects out, living here is the
Right.
nicest place to live, but these guys are going to have, and I know that the people that live here, this is sort of, you can hear the noise,
Yeah.
so it's sort of a pain in the ass for people that live here. We get a little bit of flack sometimes, but that's just the life of doing reconstruction. You're going to get
Right.
a little bit of kickback, but when it's all said and done, you have a beautiful, beautiful place that's working. We can't have dry rot, we can't have people slipping and falling, we can't have mold inside the guy's building, so this is important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we have no choice but to fix this thing.
You know, I had one question. Megan, any other questions come through? Okay. I do have a question, and it's going to we're going to go back and revisit this, but one of the things we didn't talk about was all of the code approvals that you have. And one of the big ones is WUI, Wildlife Urban Interface, right?
Yes, well, that's the high fire zone. So for years and years and
That's
years,
that.
it was only the 1 hour, which burns from the bottom side, and the Class A.
Right.
All of a sudden, these fires happening more and more, so the state fire marshal put together and said, hey, you know what, we're going to do what we call a high fire zone test, which is the WUI, Wildland Urban Interface.
Right.
That makes it, it was a little bit confusing at the very beginning because we already had it covered from the top and the bottom, but they wanted an additional rating, which is the high fire zone. So Pli-Dek had to go out. I mean, we were on the first time we ever got kicked out of plant check in my life. I go, hey, you don't have a high fire zone test. I go, what the heck is that? Nobody told us about it. So we ended up getting it like lickety split to make sure we had it for this big project out in LA, Los Angeles area. And they changed it from a 10-minute test. 2 years later, it went to a 30-minute burn test. So we had to go to Oklahoma to go take the second test. But we've been past this since they first came out with it. We've passed that. A lot of guys with their product cannot pass that. It's an extremely hard test to pass.
Yeah.
And I think some other guys have tried to pass it and haven't done it. That means Pli-Dek is the most best fire rated system out here. So some of the systems, if they've tried, they're not listed. So you can only find Pli-Dek out there. And just recently, one other guy that's not the big player in the industry, one other guy got his rating as well. But it's a hard test to pass. But the WUI is important. They're gonna enforce it really a lot in the beginning of this next year. If you don't have the WUI, you're not on the job at all. So if the inspectors catch it, they're going to kick them off. But now, in January 1st, it's going to be mandatory. So they're going to have the WUI approval.
With the tragedies that we had here in California, it's good. You got to have it. It is so important to have the right products and installing the right products that are going to keep the building safe. I mean, that's just there's a lot of trees out here. There's a lot of vegetation.
Yeah, I mean, if you people saw it on TV how bad it was. I mean, it was horrific that all these fires. I mean, I have a house up in the mountains and there's like all this, the leaves are turned brown and all of a sudden they make it. If you don't clean your leaves up, we're going to fine you $850 plus $5,000 an hour to clean it up for you.
Wow.
So everybody's fire conscious out here in California. Rightfully so, because we've had people lose their lives, and now it's not just fun and games all the time, it's people are dying. So very, very important to have everything that we put together when I developed this system. It's durability, it's not gonna crack, it's waterproof, number one, and it's fire rated. I mean, we gotta have all these things put together. I can't just roll some stuff out of a bucket and throw some sand in and say, hey, there's your deck. Yeah. And then 6 months later there's cracks everywhere, next thing you know there's dry rot. So there was a spot in Berkeley, California, that they had concrete on top of the plywood, and that was their finished deck, and they had some kind of waterproofing underneath. Well, they had 6 kids on it from Ireland's kids that went to Cal Berkeley, and it was on like the 5th or 6th floor, and the balcony collapsed.
Oh my! Because
the water was getting underneath the concrete, and it rotted out all the joists and the plywood, so the kids ended up dying on it. So they came out with all these new codes that you have to now inspect decks. I think that comes more into play when there's concrete on top, because if there's plywood on top, if there's something goes wrong, you'll fall through the plywood first.
Right.
But when they have concrete on top, you have to inspect that. So we try to talk people out of it. People did concrete back in the day because it had all the fire ratings.
Right.
So my job was to say, I've got the fire ratings without the concrete.
Right.
So I've for years and years and years, I've got all these architects knowledgeable now on what I can do without doing double layer plywood or concrete on top. So then the latest thing I got called in for was sound control. Oh. So I had these architects call me up and say, you know what, Jan, I got a deck that's over a community area at the clubhouse, and everybody's up there, they're playing, they have tables, and they're having lunch down here, and somebody's up there playing ping pong, and it's screaming, they're walking and stuff. We need a sound control deck. So Pli-Dek, I invented a sound control system that has a sound control, and it's an IIC and STC rating of over 50 on top of our deck. That goes down first. We put our system on top of that, and we've tested and get that approved as well. So we have the only sound rated system that I know of in America that it doesn't happen all the time, but when it's directly over living space and guys on top are different than the people on the bottom that don't live in the same place, then you look at a sound control deck. So we have that as well.
It makes so much sense, and even for rooftops. That's awesome.
Yeah. So when you have these roof decks, I mean, if it's your house and your kids are up there running around, you can hear them, maybe that bothers you, you want a sound control, we have that. Yeah. So we give that option. These architects want us, they call me all the time and say, do you have a sound deck? Yes, we do. So we have a sound control system as well.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, what I want to do right now is I want to bring Samantha back, and I want to talk a little bit.
I go over there?
No, you stay right here. Hey. You don't get away. No. But what I do want to talk a little bit about is labor. So we have a couple things I want to talk about here, training, but I want to kind of visit also because you guys are with contractors a lot. We saw those great guys. This product, when it comes to labor savings and ease of installation, and it's just the weight and stuff, talk to us a little bit about how that is good for the crews.
You want Samantha to answer this? You want me to answer this?
I'm going to have you start, and then I'm going to have Samantha come in.
Well, like I said, I mean, everybody gets used to, you have to be trained. So you're bringing up 50-pound bags of polymer cement. You're bringing up 60-pound of buckets that you're mixing in. We like to mix on site. Yeah. We don't mix in a big mixer and then carry up ladders with mixing buckets. We load the decks. A lot of times on big jobs, they forklift all the product up here. So the guys don't want to be using all their energy just to load the deck. Right. But it's standard practice. You're going to come up here, they're going to give you, when the superintendent calls you on the job, you're going to have an area that nobody else should be walking on. So you load the decks up and you do them, and you always, I mean, when you're young, it's not that hard to do. Yeah.
Hey, you're still doing it.
Oh yeah, it's not as fun. So,
yeah. Samantha, what are you seeing? I mean, I know you're doing a lot of training, you're going out on job sites, you're going into distribution and everything else. What are you seeing with labor, and just, because we have a labor shortage, and how they're working with this product to kind of make it fast, easy?
I mean, a lot of contractors, even roofing contractors, are getting into waterproof decking because it's just another avenue for them to go and grow their business and get jobs. And waterproof decking right now is There's a lot of work out there. So sometimes contractors won't bid it because they aren't certified applicator, and they'll just either toss it on or sub out the work. So if we get them certified, then that just lets them be able to do the work and bid those jobs that maybe before they weren't going after. Exactly.
So
exactly.
how do they get certified?
Great question, Heidi. Here's how the more details to get certified here with Pli-Dek. You'll want to go to Pli-Dek.com and click Contact Us. And once you open up and you hit Contact Us, there'll be an inquiry form. You could there's 3 ways to do it. So there's either the inquiry form, there'll be a phone number you can call, or an email that you can email us at. You can do one of those 3 things. Each of those will all lead to our customer care team, and they will direct you to one of our wonderful Pli-Dek reps in your area. We have Pli-Dek reps nationwide. They'll be there to support you to get your training set up, job starts, job walks, anything you need. Here, if you're in, California, you got Jan to do all the job walks and the technical aspects of it. And we have our tech reps all across the nation as well to do that with our sales reps. And
we probably need to point out too, since she couldn't make it, and that Wendy.
Yes,
is
we
also
have.
your local.
Yes, we
Hi,
have
Wendy.
a wonderful team. Hello, Wendy and Rafa and John. Those are our Pli-Dek team here in Southern California. We have a wonderful group. We're here to get all your training needs. Like Jan said and Heidi mentioned earlier, we have certification trainings. That was one thing I wanted to talk about. We have certification trainings happening all the time, and if there isn't one that's in the books, we will set one up personally just for you. If you really want to get certified and you're like, I have a job coming up, I really need to get certified, we'll come to your place of business, set up a whole training, get you all trained so you're ready for that job. If it's not at your place of business and you're not doing it tailored to you, we also do on the job site training, which Jan will also come out along with your local rep and do on-site job training and get you certified that way. And then after these certification trainings, if it's more formal where we're coming to you or we're hosting and you're joining us, at the end of that, you will have we have a QR code that you'll scan and sign, and that's how you'll get your Pli-Dek your certificate. And then you'll have your little certificate that says you're a Pli-Dek certified applicator. So that way you can take that and show that to all your jobs and everything.
That's awesome. And your product is spec'd nationwide.
Correct.
So contractors out there, you're going to see this specified, so you're going to want to get certified so you're ready for when those jobs come up.
Definitely. I would say Pli-Dek is probably one of the top spec waterproofing decks out there.
What's important when you are talking to architects is the architects have liability as well. If they're writing some plans and they're putting in the wrong fire codes or they're putting in the wrong system that's not rated, and then something happens, they have litigation as well. So when architects see what we have as far as all of our testing and all our approvals, they like spec'ing Pli-Dek because Pli-Dek covers them. It covers them saying, we're doing the right thing. So we work mostly, once we educate all the architects, most architects California knows, and so does a lot in Florida and stuff, but once we train them, it's all down to details. How do we flash, this wall or this door? It's tying into a roof over here, or we got something else going on with a trough drain or whatever it might be.
Right.
Which we haven't talked about drains, but drains are very, very important. So we don't want a big cast iron drain in this middle sheet of plywood. We want it's a thin membrane drain. I'm going to give a little shout out here to one of my guys that manufactures Thunderbird Products. We spec their drain. So it's a flat drain. It's like flashing on top of the deck with a brass fitting that's soldered. So we lap our lapping over the flat part of the drain,
right.
And it's perfect. I can't have a plastic drain. I can't have a cast iron drain that moves all over the place. On plywood, we need the single membrane drain, which is what Thunderbird Products makes for.
And so you work with all of that to make sure those specs are right, and you also work with a lot of consultants.
Yes, I do seminars for architects, consultants, as well as applicators and general contractors like what's out here, every day almost. So yes, we do for consultants as well. I'm very, very good friends with most of the consultants in California.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Megan, any questions? No. I think we are at the top of our hour. We are coming up on it right now. Jan, Samantha, wow. This goes down in the books. This has been our first live on a job site with work going on all around us, and it's been really fun. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I know.
Thank you all for tuning in.
We love you too.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much. Thank you to ICP and Pli-Dek for bringing us out here to have this great idea, and really thank you, Jan, for finding this job too.
This is a nice
Great
job.
job.
Nice
Great
having you
job.
out here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. Please check out all the information about Pli-Dek on Rivers Coffee Shop and Coatings Coffee Shop. You can find the directory, you can get all the information, you can get the certifications, find out how to get the training, and there's some awesome articles and some great podcasts that we've done with Jan.
That's
so
right.
3 other podcasts that are out there. So be sure to check all that out. We will be coming back to you again next month with another Coatings Talk. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell on YouTube so you don't miss a single episode, and of course on your podcast channel. We'll be seeing you next month. Have a great day.